I'd like to start this morning by giving thanks to our thrift shop. They were my inspiration for preparing for this morning because they are incredible examples of the incredible rewards that stewardship can bring. The epitome of what we bring or want to bring to stewardship to this church lie in the very basement of this church. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but the workers downstairs who do such a great job, some of them parishioners, some of them are not, their volunteer work is a real job. Twice a year, they ask for help with their turnover, where they clear out a lot of the items that will not be moving down there, move them all upstairs. And when they ask for help, we need about 20 people to facilitate it for what can amount up to from 20 minutes to 40 minutes. And it is a very small example of what they do out of the kindness of their hearts for 3 times a week while the shop is open, and when it's not open, when they need to prepare for other things. And last year we lost a longtime volunteer, or this year we lost a longtime volunteer of the thrift shop, Bob Barron, and I will always remember him for his soft disposition. He was very, very kind, and when we visited, he was always incredibly nice to my daughter, which, trust me, can be an incredibly hard thing to do sometimes. Unfortunately, he passed before I was able to thank him not only for his volunteer work, but for something else. Sometimes God shows up right when he need him, and he tells us something that we need to hear at just the right time. And I was talking to Bob one morning when I was checking out, and he was telling me how he came to be at Trinity and the thrift shop, and he said that he had actually started coming to the church because he came to one of the church's AA meetings that AA holds here twice a week. And when I heard that, I thought at the time, I needed to hear that. Today, this very day, is the 9-year anniversary of my overdose. I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. And I know when you sat down, that was the absolute last thing you were expecting to hear this morning. But starting tomorrow is also the 9-year anniversary of being clean and sober, for which I am incredibly thankful for and incredibly proud of. And at the time that Bob told me that he came to be at Trinity and volunteer at Trinity because he came to the AA meeting, I wasn't really doing anything in my active recovery. And I actually started taking advantage of those meetings. And well, I just like to thank Bob, who's still with us here today. And when I was still heavily addicted, I did so to numb a pain. And pain can prevent us from seeing a great many things. When we heard Job last week, even though he remained faithful, he got to a point where he was just like, God, I love you, but I don't really get what's going on right now. And then God told him something that he needed to hear. Now, one of my favorite parts of church is when I'm here at Trinity and our assistant priest, Lisa, actually performs a service. And at the end of the service, she always caps it off with something to the effect of, and God's love who surpasses all of our understanding. And whenever I hear that, I close my eyes and I remember that our suffering is just as important as our happiness. And I will never truly understand why that is, but I have faith that that's what God's love is. One of God's greatest gifts to all of us is tomorrow. Actually, better stated, one of his greatest gifts is the concept of tomorrow. When we think of tomorrow, it's something that's not here, but a lot of us make plans as if it's just automatic. And it's faith which we don't realize we're exercising at the time that tomorrow will be automatic. In today's gospel, we hear about one of the beautiful things is the blind man's pain. And in the midst of that pain, he wasn't focused on what was happening in his life presently, but in what his service and faith to God would bring him if he followed Jesus. Without being able to see, he believed in tomorrow, not just the concept, but that his faith and journey in Jesus would take him to tomorrow. When we plan for our future as a church, not only during this stewardship season, but all year, we exercise our faith in tomorrow. And the foundation of tomorrow is having faith in what we're doing today. And when we give, we have faith that what we give will be returned upon us tenfold. Not my words, that's in the book. Sorry, it gets kind of hard. I wish I would have told Bob how important he was to me while he was here, because it's so funny how God can change your life in the most random and unexpected of ways. And it's his example I think of when I think of stewardship. He came to AA at the church, and then he started coming to church, and he started giving back to the church by volunteering in a thrift shop. And his volunteerism in the thrift shop just happens to be where a large source of the church's revenue comes from. And when you really, really sit back to think about that, that's the greatest example of stewardship that I spoke of at the beginning. And that is what we hope for and have faith in during stewardship season, that what we give will be returned upon us. And so I'd like to give thanks for today, and give thanks for the faith that it brings me, and that it will bring us to tomorrow. During the stewardship campaign, I have faith that our collective faith will continue to bring us God's gift of tomorrow. Amen.